Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I want to give you a little bit of something to think on. What it is, I've made videos talking about how different countries are divided. You know, like China or Rome and this type of stuff. They get divided up. They get too strong, and then they get divided up. And I want to give you a little something to think on here. Now, always use that same reasoning on all levels of control. Okay, right now we have these different countries with their borders, and each country has got their own president, dictators, or whatever you want to call them, and they have a border. The job of a government's military, I don't care what government it is, should be protecting their borders. That's what it should be. Now, a lot of them, they don't. When you get to the United States and Russia, this type of stuff, China, you know, the big countries with big militaries, then they tend to want to conquer. They want to do other things. But think of it that same way. Now, that's what we can see now and we can relate to. But also, it also works with gangs. You see LA gangs and New York gangs and all this kind of stuff. That's why you see them put the markings on the buildings and stuff like that, the graffiti and stuff like that. That's to mark their area. And they, like I say, they're on the bottom scale of comparing them to nations, but that's exactly what they're doing. They don't have an army, but what they do is they mark their borders. Not like regular country would have a border, or they should have a border and some way to control that border. Well, they can't do that in the way of gangs, but that's realistically what it is that they're doing. And so they have their borders, their area that they've marked off, and they use their gang as the military. This is their enforcers. It's like the military is enforcing the borders and protecting the country. That's the same thing that the gangs do. They're enforcing their borders, and they're taking care of their areas. And so now that's both extremes. Okay, now right now, what you hear about this New World Order thing. Well, this New World Order thing, that's why they're trying to break down all the borders. They want to control one big country out of the whole world, and they want to. The New World Order wants to control all of the militaries, and they're going to make like states out of each country. That's what the whole idea. And they all follow the same laws. That's why we have the UN. And I already told you, they're enforcing some UN laws right now down here in Central America. Agenda 21 is a good example. That's some of the UN laws that are being applied in the United States. So they're trying to get themselves like that. Now, the reason I'm telling you all this is I can see, and I've already mentioned, I'm against revolutions. A revolution in the United States, I'm against it because we have a constitution that allows us to push the button and reset. We can start all over again. The Constitution applies us with that right and obligation, a matter of fact. And I can see where this could happen. Now, when we go through that period of time when we're resetting and making things right again, there's going to be a time where we are going to divide. I'm hoping we can do it in the way of states. Right now, the states are trying that. The states are trying to stand up on their own right now. So I'm giving them credit for that. I mean, there are a lot of things like the immigration. You know, they're bringing all these weird, crazy people into our country, and the states are saying, "Whoa, wait a minute, you're not going to do that." So that's what I'm saying. The states are trying to do the constitutional thing. In other words, the states didn't give you the permission to do this, so don't do it. So they're trying to take back, but see, the states have wimped out for so long that now the federal government thinks that they can push the states around. So the states are trying to protect their own borders. And you hear me talk about militias and how valuable militias are. And the reason is the militias, the three-man militia, I'm talking about the three-man militias, they have to be able to take care of their own area. Kind of like the gangs. Remember I talked about the gangs, putting up their graffiti and all this kind of stuff. Okay, well, the militias are going to have to do the same thing. They're going to, and that's why I say the militia is to take care of your family, your friends, and your local community. Now, your local community, I've given you examples. My local community, 300 to 500 people in this little place out in the country, and there's other communities, which would be like neighborhoods and even some counties. You know, it just depends. But it's all put together by three-man militias, and the reason is we've got control over our three-man militias, and three-man militias are run on morals. They're morally run, not by the laws, not by regulations. That's why I'm not big on a state. You can have a state-run militia. I have no problem with it. Even your three-man militia can go to work for a state militia. I have no problem with that. Just remember, as a militia, you are not bound to do anything that's immoral or unconstitutional. So you do have a certain constitutional obligation, and that would be to help your local county, your local states. But like I say, once that turns immoral or they're doing it wrong, you know, you are under no obligation. I don't know if I would fight them, but I would bring it to their concern, to their concerns that what they're doing is inappropriate, it's unconstitutional, immoral, and you refuse to do it. And you're going to go back home. That's what you're going to do. So, because like I say, you are under no obligation. You are a militia. You are under no obligation to do bad things. Okay, now with that in mind, you will have to take control of certain areas. You will have to work with other three-man militias doing what I said. Militaries are to control their borders. We may have to control our borders. It depends. Certain times we will. I mean, just plain physically have to stop the riffraff from coming through our area. There's going to be times like that. There's times when we can just sit back and let the sheriff do his job with his deputies. But there's going to be times when the deputies are going to be overwhelmed. That's the time when the militias need to step in and help their local sheriff, providing the local sheriff is doing constitutional and morally proper actions. And then you are obligated to help them. So I say, the reason I'm making this video is so you understand your obligation as a three-man militia. And because I know people, you can see the United States is just falling apart, but there are steps that we can do now to prepare and to protect our families, friends, and local community. And as long as all these are all taken care of, we can do our constitutional right and reset our federal government. This is Mike. NoStressMike.com.